In this video, I'm going to show you how to get the Sword of Night to match your Knight armor set that you already got. If you don't have this, you can find a link to that in the description down below. But to get to the Sword of Night, you're going to have to do a very long quest line. So you will have to have progress to the Cathedral of Metyr, which is located right over here. Now, the way you get to this location is actually by going through the Morth Runes. If you go through the Morth Runes, there's like a section right over here where you can like jump down and you kind of parkour all the way down to the bottom, which goes through a tunnel, which will eventually bring you out at Bonnie Village. From Bonnie Village, you're going to head to the east and you're going to just go across the bridge and you just follow the pathway. It will literally, you just follow this entire road. It will lead you all the way up here to this side of Grace, and then from here you just kind of head south along the road, stick against the road again, and you'll make your way all the way up until the Manus Cathedral. Next to the site of Grace in the cathedral, there is a doorway that we can go ahead and open. Open up this doorway, and you'll see there's an NPC sitting in the chair just ahead of you. Go ahead and talk to him. This is Ymir. He will then give you the whole laden necklace, as well as a runes map. You're then going to want to exhaust his dialogue until he offers you his shop. Here you can ask about glintstone sorcery, and you can also study sorceries to learn new sorceries in this DLC. For the next part of the quest, we need to make our way to this location right over here. Now, the way you get here is through the Cerulean coast. If you don't know how to get to the Cerulean coast, I recommend watching the video I've linked in the description down below that shows you how to get to this site of Grace. And then you're going to follow me as I just lead you down this path like this, and we kind of go along the beach and up through here to get to this location like that. I'm going to do a quick little speed run of that from the Cerulean coast for you. Once you make your way to the bell at the very center, or like the finger that looks very much like the necklace you got, you can see that you can sound the hanging bell. And then you'll get the Crimson Seed Talisman +1. This talisman greatly boosts HP restoration from the Flask of Crimson Tears. You're now going to return back to the cathedral. And inside this cathedral, if we go to the right here, you'll see there's an NPC right over here whose armor set we actually have. This is the armor set of Knight. If you want to see how to get that, you'll find that linked in the description as well. We can go ahead and talk to this NPC, and then we can go ahead and speak to Ymir. You will then get the runes map second, as well as the beloved Stardust. The next location you need to head to is now over here. Now, this is a difficult area to get to because you have to take a secret passageway and like things through the Shadow Keep, which can be a bit confusing, but does require you going from this site of Grace and into this tunnel over here through this pathway. If you don't know how to get to the secret area, the Hinterland, I recommend watching my video in the description about how to get to Skadu View, which is what this area is called, so that you can progress from here onwards. Once you get to the finger bell, you again just have to blow it. You just have to go right into the middle and sound the hanging bell. This will give you the Cerulean Seed Talisman +1. This talisman greatly boosts FP restoration from Flask of Cerulean Tears. Now you're going to make your way back to the Cathedral of Manus. You'll go ahead and speak to Ymir, and you will get the third runes map. Once you've finished his dialogue, you can go ahead and rest at the site of Grace nearby. And then when you return back to his chair, you'll see he is no longer in the throne. You'll instead be able to examine the throne, and this is going to make the chair basically move. And this will reveal an underground pathway that you can go ahead and take. And if you look just to the north, you can see there's another bell horn thing that you can go ahead and sound in the distance. But you will be encountering a boss, or like a little mini boss kind of dude who's going to show up along this way. Once you defeat Sword Hand of Knight Anna, you'll get the Claws of Knight Fist Weapon. This weapon scales primarily on dexterity and does have blood loss buildup, as you can see the stats on the screen. And then you can go ahead and blow or sound this horn. This will teleport you to a boss arena. Good luck. Have fun, go defeat the boss. Punch you right in the finger. After you defeat the boss, you can go ahead and rest at the site of Grace. From here, you can now teleport back to the cathedral. And again, if we interact with the throne, we'll be able to start a new boss fight. So I'll see you guys at the end of that. After you defeat the boss, you'll get Ymir's bell bearing. You'll get the maternal staff. You'll also get the high priest hat, robe, gloves, and undergarments, the whole set. Here are the stats for the maternal staff. You can see it scales off of strength, intelligence, and arcane, and it also boosts finger sorcery. If you go ahead and you rest at the Site of Grace nearby, this will update the area and you'll see Jolan will be sitting down against that pillar over there, and now you have the option of getting one of two items. You can either get the Spirit Summon for Jolan, or you can either get her Sword of Night Katana, which is probably the more favored reward. But first you're going to need a specific item for one or the other. If you want Sword Hand of Night Jolan as a Spirit Summon, you can go ahead and head to the Shadow Keep. You're going to get to the Storehouse first floor Site of Grace, and then you're going to follow along with me here. So from the Site of Grace, we're just going to go to the left, and you'll see we'll go through the first left entrance. There is a lift over here, and you're going to go ahead and take the lift. When you exit the lift, you're going to go ahead and head to the room on the right. You're just going to follow along with me here. We're going to go downstairs. We're basically going to the big, like, open room at the bottom over here. So we're going to go down here into the lift, into the big open room over here, and right at the back here towards the east side, you should see there's an item on the floor. You might have already have picked it up. It's going to be called the Iris of Grace. When you give this to Sword Hand Jolan, you'll end up getting her Spirit Summon as the reward. However, there's a different item you can give her and get the Sword of Night instead, which is what you're probably going to want to do. To get the Iris of Occultation, you're going to have to go to the Fort of Reprimand, which is going to be located just south of the Morth Ruins. If you just follow this road, it leads straight up until this little location, and you're going to progress until you get to the Site of Grace, this one right up here. So once you get to the Site of Grace, you're going to drop down into this little, like, bottom area over here, and you'll see there is another drop just next to it that you can go ahead and drop down as well. And then down here, you're going to be fighting an enemy who's going to give you the item that you need. Once you kill this enemy, he will drop the item that you need, and you pick it up, and it's going to be the Iris of Occultation. And now we can head back to the Cathedral of Manus. And from the Site of Grace, we can go ahead and speak with Sword Hand Knight Jolan. On the floor here next to the pillar, if you speak with her, you'll see that we'll have two options. When you speak with her, you can use the Iris of Grace or the Iris of Occultation. The Grace is for her Spirit Summon. The Occultation is for the Sword of Night, which is the reward I'm going for in this video. After she's done speaking, you'll see the item will appear in front of you, and you can pick it up, and this is the Sword of Night. Now, once you have the sword, the attacks look like this. They're pretty much just typical katana attacks. When you use the Ash of War, it kind of does the stance like this, and a ton of different swings. It reminds me of Melania, but like a very dark, cursed one. Here are the stats for the sword. You can see it has magic damage, physical damage, and scales pretty much on dexterity, and it does have blood loss buildup. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching.